Zanje Jondan Soje Jonam La Janjo Bardo Tane Jazo Jendage Jenzo Jibe Zenan Jendola Benjer Sanje Numbar Jo Zemjen Damjen Dewa Deve Judan Dembaran Jurje Dongan Dongal Je Judan Dalwaran Jurje Dongal Mebe Dewa Damban Damin Dalwaran Jurje Nyerin Chadan Nidan Dalve Tanyum Chembola Nembaran Jurje Chadal Wadan Shujin Shaban Dan Jesu Yiran Gulshin Zorwa Kewa Jungse Dagi Jesan Ban Tamje Dagi Chanchun Jirngu Sashi Beju Chushin Mendo Darira Linshe Nilde Gemba Sanje Shindo Migde Bulwai Drogen Namda Shingla Jembor Jo Zemje Namje Zamba Loye Cheta Chinda Chechung Timong Tekbai Chuje Kolo Gordo So
Namda Tsurin, Zerche Sajenden, Denzen Bame Rilin, Gupen, Shiram Nide Nao Chugans, Tubjun Dogan Doblan Chaze Lon, Dogam Jisi Sonwe, Pachele, Sampo Chebe, Cheguchi Ingwendam, Gave Yakto Jojan Gazes, Now you sing a dream loju, so Rigam Sabe, Mindro Dambesu, Rimni Lamje Lur Chamaja. Gechin Gushi to Tersebe Yon Zela Marchu Banchela Nankadanyan Besimje Tamje, Tobjalana Meba Sanji Kumbaram Bushi, Jinejan Tobrajo, Yembe Kulon Janju the Sata December Show.
It doesn't work? Oh, now it's working, thank you. So please start by generating bodhicitta, that is to say, the wish to put this teaching into practice in order to reach Buddha, the enlightened state, for the benefit of all beings in number as vast as the sky.
Good morning, and I will start from I will continue from the last session.
The morning session.
가장 강의모로 day after yesterday. ngaranzo konzula tene project lamshe pare. 다 된담나 tene project lamtishigure.
So in the morning session 2 days ago, so we will pick up to where we were on that day. So on that session, it was explained the path of maturation on the basis of relative reality was explained, And today we will explain the second aspect, which is the path of liberation on the basis of ultimate reality.
Tene tatenge ki tundam ki kor she ta tundam tembe ki kor she yende. Tene chadang ranzo kind of silk go de ngana de kensa chage de. Is it clear? The voice is clear?
Okay.
There's no echo? No, right? I'm not sure why from my place I can hear very long.
Yeah, a little bit echo.
Maybe because there's maybe, I don't think that is, anyway, that tundam dembegin namsha tezo shirab ki namsha kolare roa. Penang so junju tawla chatsun bayna shirab liu tawte tundam dembegin namsha kola shek yore. Teni tatang so zawa shirab tawina. Teni zawa shirab rabji tat sangma. Ani tundam dembegin namsha tengi yore. Teni oma jukpa tawina denare so tundam dembegin namsha shitungu yore.
So this presentation of ultimate reality is dealing with actually what is called insight or prajna, sharab in Tibetan. This is so the explanation on ultimate reality helps us to develop that insight of ultimate reality. And this is explained, of course, in several texts. For instance, in chapter 9 of the Bodhicharya Avatar, the way of the Bodhisattva. The whole of the Mula Madhyamaka Karika, the text by Nagarjuna, is also explaining that topic of insight. And this is also the case of the main chapter of the Madhyamaka Avatara, or the entry into the middle way.
Chetang also pena labal lomnyen jingenji yembayina lomnyen jingenji na teni ta lobjong jesa da shong da de da rangi ji rangi ju nyebula del koya de ke chumbo shira cha de yore.
So in general, as a Buddhist practitioner, it's quite important to make study of this text, to have a good understanding, study and understanding of this Dharma. So it's important to get this by oneself.
The Shenpa Tsamji ki pendo yo mare, Inji Menji ki ti Semjula Jarugoya ti ke chumbo shirare. Semjula. Apply it.
So actually it's not necessary to only have an intellectual understanding, but to really apply this understanding in one's practice.
Pena chatsuna lobjong je shabayina koshina mashina tempa la tende yore. Tempa. Tende kabri tempa te samsam negi re kabri je do re. Ko tempo yo mare.
So one of the quality of mind that one has to develop on the path is that of mindfulness, also called memory in some context. And this mindfulness is sometimes not very stable. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
I would say knowledge, yeah. Knowledge, for example, knowledge is a part of memory. Without the knowledge, we cannot recall the awareness. So knowledge is important, but knowledge is not everlasting. Knowledge is based on memory. So memory is not very stable. You can forget when you get older and older. And sometimes you cannot recall what you have studied in the past. And for example, myself, I have studied for many years, And one time, there was a moment that I was getting more interested in meditation rather than studying. I have a habit of strange that when I look, I don't want to stop. I just, read, and sometimes I forget to sleep. Yeah, even though sleep is very strong, but still I'm eager to get the answer, so I never get satisfied. So reading. When there's a time when, there's a gap of something distracted, then when I'm like far from the books and the text, then it's just a memory I recall. Then to answer, let's say, for me it's been like more than 10 years, I think, that I haven't properly read. It is quite embarrassing to say, but it's been very long that I haven't,
Main studies. It's many years I haven't studied thoroughly.
I mean, like actual study. Then when someone asks me, I need to recheck, and I have to answer it through the studies I have learned in my past, and most of it is coming from my memory. But the good thing, what I don't get very much bothering or obstacles, is that when I studied, I always applied it myself. I didn't kept the studies as a knowledge, but I applied through my experience. So when there is no knowledge, I have no difficulties or no like emptiness. I don't feel like empty because I know I have applied it, and through my experience, I can answer it. So it is according to going to the studies. It's coming according to that. In that way, it's very important because it depends how you receiving the teachings. You're just learning for knowledge, then that is, for a moment, is okay. But we have to not only receive it, but you have to apply it. And there is a saying in our Kagyu lineage that when you receive teaching, you have to meditate at the same time. So in one session while you are receiving you are in the process of receiving the knowledge, and the same time contemplating, and the same time meditating. So when the session of teaching is completed, you have gained the three wisdom of hearing, contemplating, and meditating. So and that happens to be a very wonderful completion of a meaningful session of teaching. In that case, I think this is a way we should, how we perceive I think this is the way how one should receive the teachings.
Yeah.
Tini da namki namsha shaya mangbo rete na da ngege da ngarang ki da tusu da derin chuden tamare changma she tuya kali khabu rete inde kare ki shongbo rete nge ma shu shagi.
So now we will give this presentation of ultimate reality, but because this is the last session, maybe I will not go into so much detail, but say only the most important things.
Tini ngege dagi shuyin nam tenpa sujite onu tsu shirabla ngo tsingu yore. Tini nam tenpa te 중국의 중심대 강화되는 중벌에서나 말한소라 지바 요래 지발라 때네 되네 디서 지발라 때네 남된 것이 남샤대 연구 요래.
So, to gain a knowledge of ultimate reality is to develop insight, to develop wisdom. And why is it necessary? It's because we have veils, and it's necessary to remove these veils.
Tipa mena ni tongpa ni shiraki chumbuyo maare kansana tongpa ni ti tipa sayaki chidoro tipa sayaki chido tapre tendu kasi tipa mena tini tongpa ni shiku den yo maare tongpa sangita tongpa ni shibaki pendo yo maara
The study. Kong kyanggido. Tongpa ni kyanggido.
kengu yori tendu ngeki tongpa ni kongla shibaki pengi maaro kongla.
So it's necessary for us to teach emptiness because we have veils, and the knowledge of emptiness will remove these veils. For someone who has no veils, such as, for instance, a Buddha, we do not need to teach emptiness to him. For instance, there is a saying that is that Chenrezig does not need to recite manis.
Yeah. 네 랑기 제네스를 많이 롱피고 있는 소소 제네스인지라.
Because he is already Chenrezig.
If you think it is necessary, then maybe that person is Chenrezig, more important than the actual Chenrezig. The Chenrezig 많이 롱고야요 말에, 왕고야요 말에 가서나. 많이 된소 제네기스기 된다는 말에 가나도 소소치고 담아봐 인지기 마통이 된소 기체들에.
So for Chenrezig himself, we do not need to 왕표 그러면도.
많이 다 롱도서 왕도서 고야요 말에.
Chenrezig does not need to receive the empowerment of Chenrezig, or he doesn't need. This is what you said, and he doesn't need also to recite the mani because he is already that. So these methods, the methods, they are given to us so that we can actually actualize our true nature.
디나신게 시럽데 동반 되는데 저번에 용해 된 소리 쳐더래.
So in the same way, it's necessary to reflect, to study and reflect on the meaning of emptiness in order to develop insight. And to remove these veils. Where do the veil come from? They come from the grasping to a self. There are actually two ways to explain the self.
That is session tricky. 다들 니 연구요래. 제때 군다게 다세 제가 랭기게 다세 니 연구.
There are two forms of self, rather. That is to say, a self which is clinging to a self that is naturally present, that we could call the innate, clinging to a self, and there are fabricated or imputed clingings to self.
디나네 렌지게 다 수주데 가라서 다 총드네 가 세야지 풍불라 다도 젬베기에 제 다세게 근데 로타셔베게 가 지여와 디랑 문제 쇼고요래 렌지게 다 수주데.
So the first, the innate clinging to a self, is the one that we all have naturally. We are born with that. Naturally, we believe that we truly exist as a person. So this is an innate or natural belief or clinging to the fact that one truly exists. This innate clinging to self.
아니 나는서 미 임백업 미 마이 임백업이나 든드로 임백업 아 든드컵 레셴베게 간데게 값이나야 렌치게 다데 도마메 번에 마쳐봐 다지 continue 지내려되기요리.
And actually this innate clinging to a self is not only human beings who have it, it's all beings that human beings, animals, everyone since beginningless time, everyone that is in samsara is believing that he or she truly exists. This is what is called the innate belief or the innate clinging to self. This So this you do not need to be explained, this belief into a self. This clinging to self is quite natural. And if you, it doesn't just come on one day, it's always there. And then you can just sit down and try to experience it. Just try to look the way that you are believing in a self. So, for instance, we have a body, we are made up of matter, and so we believe this is our body. So we believe in a self with our body, with matter, but also in dreams. For instance, in dreams we do not have a physical body, we have a mental body, but still we believe that we truly exist. So whether in the waking life when we have our body, or in a dream life when we do not have a body and we have a mental body, in both cases we believe that we exist as individuals, and then on that basis we have emotions such as aversion, attachment, desire, and on this basis a lot of suffering. And actually this belief in the self continues even after we are dead. For instance, in Buddhism we are talking about the bardo, the intermediate state between death and this life and the other life. And so after we leave our body, the mind continues, enters into that intermediate state, and even though it does not have a body, it still believes that it truly exists. It still believes in a self. And then we take rebirth and we continue to believe that we truly exist. So this belief, this clinging, this thinking I exist has been going on for a beginningless time. Life after life we have believed that we truly exist. So what is explained in Buddhism is that there is in fact this clinging to a self. There is self-clinging, but there is no self. We cannot find a self. And so, even though we cannot, there is no self, there is this belief in a self. And this belief we do not need to be taught. It does not need to be taught to us. We naturally believe in self. We naturally believe we exist truly as an individual. No one needs to tell us you exist. No one needs to explain to us that we are an individual. This is a natural, that this is an innate clinging. So this is what is called the innate self, or rather the innate clinging to a self.
다 군다게 다스주디 린치게 다 여바 셰샤티기 강라다 준다게다 다스잉에 explain 지고요.
And so, then there is the second aspect, which is the imputed self. So the imputed self comes on the basis of this innate self. So naturally we believe in the self, but then we try to explain it, to theorize it. So then this is what is called this imputed self. That is to say that we are adding up concepts, theory, imputation on our natural belief to self.
Bini tindiri chero. Kundage dade maanja kundage da sujiti kandira chila gogurasana mepa chila yoba shedaya chik.
So what is this imputed belief to a self? It's to create the idea of something where there is nothing. To impute the idea of existence on something which doesn't exist.
Pena the linchige dade yongchoba chero.
Yongkyap.
Yongchoba che.
Yongchoba.
Yongchoba chero. Kundage da sujiti mixed train jigurtila.
So this innate self, it's something that comes naturally. But the imputed self, it's something that we train in, that we develop.
Pena chasana hanzo 당연히 Christian 제도 Christian la khata tangi mero. Pena hanzo church la every Sunday la do mare.
Tengsan drog shedarogi mare ina. Debala.
Ta kanda. Da tinda chila train jigora.
So if we take an example of a religion, for instance, the Christian religion, if we would go, for instance, to the church every Sunday, then we will learn this Christian mindset and then train into a certain viewpoint as to how do we exist.
It's better I don't mention about Christian. Rather than other, I will talk. Tak andar sosuki dasingi yore takpares, ro? That lapu yore, ro? Takpares. Kares nan takpa yimbe chunse ko tuit namba kunde yores. Tende chen de ko so lenji ki dhaate ki kala ya. Te kaso namdo ya drota shak yoro.
So we impute all kinds of ideas about the self, that it's truly existent, that it's permanent, that it's one. For instance, it's permanent because it's always there, etc. So we have naturally present ideas about the self that are then over-imputed, to which we add to the naturally present ideas to create concepts, theories about what the self is.
군다게 리도 마셔 가셔. 이나 렌치 게자데 당부 가기 말해. 디 송그래. 디 손에 되게 군다데 바까기래.
So in Buddhism, when we try to understand selflessness, then we first we do not start by refuting the innate self or the innate clinging to self, but the various imputed ways to cling to a self. So first we are looking at this imputed clinging to self, these various theories that are about the self.
왜 다딩에 계절 제라 셰쇼로 디셰 pena lo kunzub la yangda kunzub da lo pe kunzub ni yung goyo
So,
shana.
then, regarding relative reality, we can distinguish between two kinds of relative reality. A correct, correct, authentic, correct relative reality and incorrect relative reality.
Pena ngaran so gan shugure pena dra yoro dra te chitang jana takwa mare mi takwa riro ina dra mi takwa yin shindu dra takwa tsenpa ina ko jikden ne lu to ma tenpa ro.
So what does it mean to say that? For instance, if we take sound, sound is something that is impermanent.
Temporary, right?
Yeah, temporary, impermanent. It doesn't last. But if we think, or if we take sound to be permanent, then this is an incorrect way of seeing relative reality. It's not. It doesn't accord. It's not. It's not. It doesn't accord with the way things are. That is to say that sound is impermanent. And so, for this distinction between incorrect and correct relative reality, we do not need to speak about emptiness. So it's not about that subject. The correct relative reality is empty of the incorrect? No.
양다 건축 기회로 동번 인구수 시하고 말이 양다 건축의 내로도 하고 저거나 그런 신기 로페 건축도 동도 그래.
So an understanding of correct relative reality will naturally dispel the graspings to incorrect or like incorrect grasping to what relative reality is. So we do not need to speak about emptiness for that. Just to have a correct understanding of the way things work in relative reality will dispel incorrect understanding about relative reality.
Tiro. Pena takdala tudu zimba yorowa. Takpa trawala tudu zimbigi zimba shiki. Chidang takpa trawu paa yore rowa. Takta paa yore. Ani ko karim norbarisna ko takdala tudu zinsore. Kada wangshi nyamdu yore. Tati 거기 젠도 요래 디스라라 가리 거르스나 동문이 쉬고 말에 학궁에 지게 타고 타고 레셔서 것도 봐서 것도 이미 마셔게 딜라고 좀 저기 거의 드네 디 탁탁 권한 준비기 원시디 기기로 되기 안에 거의 양 타타 준비기 양답하게 군속에 따와도 기기로.
So if we take the example of a cord, so on the floor there is a rope. There is this multicolor rope, like let's say a black and white rope on the floor. If we are in a dark place, then we do not really clearly see that multicolor and that black and white rope as a rope, but we might believe it is a snake. So there is this belief or this grasping to there being a self. This is an incorrect grasping to the rope, to the black and white rope. If we are introduced to the fact that this is not a snake, but this is a rope, for instance, by turning on the light, then the simple correct understanding of relative reality, the correct understanding of there being a black and white rope, will naturally dispel the incorrect belief in the snake. So for that, we do not need to speak about emptiness. So it's just about relative reality and correct or incorrect way to understand relative reality.
렌지기 동 군다게 다데 다 간쇼레 지dengi 아니 소수 지여로와 지den기 추 양답의 추기 돈다 양답의 고소에는 네 군다게 다생이 동도래.
And it's the same then with this rope, with the imputed belief to a self. If we have a correct understanding of the way things work in relative reality, this naturally dispels this incorrect belief to a self.
Tadi indu ni dambu nangba kundagi ta pakka savichadin jela linji ki ta de ka gi ra.
Yes. Lenki.
Linji ki ta de ka gi.
So when Buddhists refute the belief in the self, actually they start with refuting the innate or the natural belief to a self.
Yeah. Then nganazu dame to toyage chedoro dame toyage chedo then dada tensik shambonga de shegire
Denzin?
tensik shambonga.
Tensik. So, in order to understand selflessness, there are in Buddhism four, in the Madhyamaka, four great reasonings. There are different ways to count. Some count 4 great reasonings, or some count 5. And the Truptakaka? Oh, yeah. And these 4 or 5 great reasoning of the Madhyamaka are given in general to refute or the other schools of thought.
Rere ngeti dos le dos string sonro yangda kunda linjige dage ani kunda ge ta tongse te di linjige kunda gas linjige ta ani kunda ge taniga tongboni ge tongi yang yorero tongboni ge tongi de 다 yin tong ma tong gue yo ma son xie son yi ro ti dos nos lenji ge ta ge kunda ge ta tong ru res ni lenji ge ta ya ko tsu na kunda ge ta tong ru res ni ta gi lo so
je tin ta ka raison
ti nor son la ni la ya dos nos yangda kunzu ge lo pe kunzu tong ru res
yangda
kunzu ge
kunzo
ki lopi kontu tong ru res tira tongbani shigoya yo ma res
nga data confused
yangda konzup ki lopi konzup tong ru res
lope
konzup res tira tongbani shigoya mindus.
So a correct understanding, so just to correct a little bit what has been said before, a correct understanding of relative reality will remove or will dispel an incorrect understanding of relative reality. For that, one does not need to enter into the subject of emptiness. One does not need the understanding of emptiness. I mean, it's okay to understand emptiness, but it's not necessary.
친엄마 속에 지기도 이게 딱딱딱 마시오로 다이도 이게 이게 셰셔도 그런데 저희도 노스.
So if you're taking notes, then we need to make sure that these notes are correct.
네로 군다게 다기 맞아 린지게 다기 군다 똥보라 똥기레스야디 예반면도 텐데면도
Lenki da.
렌지게 다게 군다게 다 똥방 예반면도.
So this
니버들
Bashenda Mindu. Mindu. This is there. Or? The link. Can you show me then? This where?
군대기다.
Lasso. Yes, but what are you saying about this? So it is not. I don't remember. So the innate belief in a self.
얘기 시작하는데.
Yeah.
렌즈기 다스 나가라 이래.
The innate belief in a self, or the innate clinging to self.
The inner clinging of self by real understanding about the inner clinging of self. Before I say that, by understanding the pure view of inner clinging of self, it naturally
dispels the imputed belief to self. Yeah.
tingye dagi lausa.
Yeah.
Ti tata tendemendu.
Lasso.
Nye dos nos.
But then what? So this is not correct. So we cannot say actually that the innate, the understanding of the innate clinging to self does not dispel. Actually, it's not correct to say that it dispels the imputed clinging to the self.
So therefore, it requires a logical understanding of selflessness. Through pure understanding on that, then it can dispel.
Dispel. So it is through a good understanding of the reasonings that establish non-self that one can refute this imputed belief to the self.
다 간다 디레로 군다게 다 그냥 다스. 드니 레다 다당 하나서 타시고비리고 타시고비 다시 말해. 땡지 춘봉아 라서 베텐조게데 저 타당부 고지게 말해. 타 넘버 고지게 말인데 대기에 안에 다다 가서 군다게 다 가도 요래라 렌치게 는 다양 가도 요래.
The Tashike Tenzig or which Tenzig?
땡지 첨부가 시.
So these four or five great reasonings of the Madhyamaka will refute the imputed belief in a self, and also together with it the innate belief in a self. Yes.
Tene da tenzi chimbu shide tera jula joba jula joba hola joba la so boten de yorero. Tene so maang che ti tada jumta ki maang che jumta ka be ki report of chatter so jumta ka be report chatter yore.
So these five reasoning are, for instance, the reasoning about that analyzes the cause, that analyzes the effect, or the reasoning of what is single and plural, etc. So there are these various reasoning, and mostly what is refuted in there is the various assertions that are given by the different schools of thought.
Tene da yonda la tenjin trewa chungwe ki jumsen la tene chutamji tongbanye ki ngola ngotoya yungu yore. Tati tumta mayimba tsamal chungwe.
And one of these 5 great reasoning is called the reasoning of dependent arising or interdependence. And this reasoning of dependent arising will introduce one to the understanding that actually all phenomena arise in dependence, and therefore all phenomena are emptiness. So this specific reasoning is not particularly refuting schools of thought, but is introducing to emptiness in general. So actually it's helpful to both understand emptiness in general, but also with relationship to the other schools of thought.
Tenjin trewa chungwa tila iyendu tena tejongi trewa sayate. Chila namja ki tendes niyengurira.
Namja ki tendes?
Namja, nambar chokji ki tendes. Pena iye ta iye ra, ting tang o, tenzo rawa ta. Tene chikde karasana tena tejong ta chudan trewa dawari. Te yona tila tene tejongiri sayate yorwa.
There are actually 2 forms of interdependence. There is one interdependence, which is the fact that things are imputed in relation. So, for instance, the ID right comes from the ID left, or even the reality of, the perception of right comes from the perception of left. Below comes because there is up, light because there is dark, etc. So there is this dependence, and all things exist in dependence upon each other. So this is like one form of dependent arising. And the other form of dependent arising is a causal form of dependent arising. Things arise on the basis of others. So there are some phenomena which are cause for phenomena that are effect. So there is a cause and effect relation between phenomena, and this is also a form of dependent arising. So there are these 2 forms, dependency and dependency in terms of designation, and dependency in terms of arising, of cause and effect relationship. And actually, if we observe all phenomena, there is not a single phenomena which is not contained within these 2 forms of dependency. And the fact that all phenomena are dependent, what does it mean? It means that no phenomena is established in and of itself, exists in its own essence, that it has an essence that is truly there by itself.
Zimbate kanla tene yungurusna marikpa tele tene yungure marikpa mebaina kansa ke dame ya yunguyo mare tiendu ta thamje kansa ke dasin be zimbello de ya ane chila tene yungbare ma to ko jume chime la tene chungba mares ne sigiyore.
So what does it mean that things are depending upon each other to arise, or things are dependent upon each other to be understood? to be imputed, is that none of these things, no phenomena, as its own essence, exist in itself and by itself. And so, what does it mean? It means that if one phenomena is not there, then the other is not there also. There is a dependency upon all phenomena. And so, the clinging to a true individual, the clinging to a self, it's ignorance. If there is no ignorance, there is no clinging to self, and there is no all of the problems that come from there. So this clinging to a self, ignorance, etc., all of this is dependent. So what Buddhism is saying is that if phenomena depend on another for arising, or is dependent on another for designation, then this phenomena is empty. It is emptiness.
남중 하나도 empty 세야데 매바도 고그라 에나야 남중 하나서 똥니 세 똥바 세야데 매바지로 고그래 똥바 니 세야데 똥바 세야데라 고가 가갈래요.
So here we can give some attention to the words used. In Tibetan, there are two words which are tongpa, which means empty, and tongpani, which means emptiness. So sometimes we understand empty as meaning nothing, but emptiness is not nothingness.
I think it's the best understanding is the imperfection is emptiness. Because when we say emptiness, we have some kind of a reflection of being nothing or being non-existence in a way of there is nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Empty. Where you can't get it, where you can't perceive, and so everything like that. But when we talk about emptiness, it's like imperfection. We human beings always try to seek the perfect in everything. And when we see imperfection, then we try to lose some very strong interest in it. So in that way, I think maybe the terms imperfection may be good. What we see, yeah. The 동반 니스 주대 그 춘이랑라 그거래. 고란게 랑신이라는 그거래. 동반이 그 랑신의 로스 주베 동반이 기요 말이 되는데 랑신이라는 그거를 맞잖아 아시죠? 삼삼 말아서 동반이 있어야기 고와디 깔에 연구도나. 동반이 이게 책 고연데 랑신 라마 삼부당시나 네 또 되어 연구래.
True nature.
True nature. 랑치다 라시 샤니스 고발렌스나 약고요.
So when we are talking about this tongpani, this emptiness or imperfection, what it refers to, it's another term in Sanskrit, it's the dharmata, or the true nature, what phenomena truly are. So emptiness, shunyata, tongpani, is the true nature, is what phenomena truly are.
Tene dayin chutamji tendre yendu sane degarangi rangshin o matuba degaran chasare yendu degarangi tongmani re dili labeki tongmani setsa yo mare.
Lakbeki tongpani?
La dili labaski yo mare.
So what is there to understand actually is that if all phenomena can be shown to be dependent, to be interdependent. That is to say that no phenomena has a true nature, as an essence in and of itself. So it means that no phenomena, there isn't any phenomena which is not emptiness. All phenomena are emptiness.
디엔드 지단 돈이기 디칸소 지단 말한 쪽이 돈담된 반남샤 시엔드 상마 시엔드 도베 친샤고 탐제 가우절랑 무슨 거요. 도베게 친샤고 삼 진샤고 삼아 가우절랑 무슨 지고요. 가우자스나 하고
So when ultimate reality is presented, that is to say, with an understanding of emptiness, this dispels, or this refutes all attachment that there are to
가우자 방자 있으니
방자. So the 방자 가르래.
방자 레스라 요리. 도베게
the shenjak de pangjare.
말 도베게 진 도베게 내가 강 레샤바 탐제 방자랑라 문진지 요리.
So to understand emptiness or to realize emptiness, then this will remove or this will refute everything that is to be refuted.
Remove 말이.
Abandon.
똑바로 가라.
Tokpa, realization.
말이.
Tokpa.
남도
concept. Yeah.
Thought 양다기나.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything comes from the concept. Everything can be grasped, or everything, comes from the thought or conception of mind is considered to be avoided in the ultimate path, ultimate view. So in that way, you might can see that in ultimate is something that you can be grasped, can be meditate, and everything. So in that way, it is beyond our reach. Yeah, 똑바기 쇠샤바 탐제 가자이나 동반이 세드니 의하면도.
So actually, concept, mental fabrication, cannot grasp emptiness. So emptiness is beyond the grasp of concepts.
So in that way, it's impossible to meditate on emptiness. But ten데 이나 산지도 장주 semba tenzo게 동반이 간두전에 또고 요래 삼나 마토베 수지 또 마통베 수지 통스네스.
So in actual fact, this is not possible to reflect or to meditate on emptiness. But then why did the Buddha teach, or the Bodhisattva teach, or show emptiness? It's in order to be able to see what is not to be seen, or to understand what is not to be understood.
Or you can say he realized the emptiness by not understanding the emptiness. He reached enlightenment without reaching the actual.
Yeah. So it's a vision of non-vision, or an understanding of non-understanding. So when one realizes emptiness, it's not that one realizes something that is there and that is emptiness.
야. 바덴데레. 드니 디제 레다디 조디. 다조 최탐지 텐더리 임바티 소소긴 콘조블라 최탐지 텐더레 된남나 최탐지 랑신지 마도버레스 된데스고요레 다디 다 밥사티 찌강나 밥거라 밥사 찌강나 밥인데 그 최탐지 낭동 성조 인스교레.
So what's really important to understand here is that all phenomena are interdependent, and because in relative reality all phenomena are interdependent, then in ultimate reality all phenomena are devoid of a true nature, do not exist in and by themselves. And in other words, this means that they are the union of appearances and emptiness, or this is the union of appearance and emptiness.
디레 가자님은 이게 쉬레 추탐지게 랑시징 오도거나 드니 찔러마도 보도 보자신이 수치했으니 본바 분배기 되 니로타도 하거나 본바티 예완이라 전에 군조도 된다게 남샤시 군좀도 된다게 남샤니 부디 야부케네 타라 밥서직 분배기 된도 밥네 본바 낭동 성줄라기 된도 밥오래.
So it means that if there is no separation between relative reality and ultimate reality, like it was said on Sunday, if one truly understands the true nature of the vase, that the vase is devoid of a true nature, it doesn't mean that there is no vase at all, that the vase disappears. One can use the vase appears, but it does not truly exist. It is empty of a true existence. So relative reality and ultimate reality actually do not exist in separation one from the other.
대제 되는로 어떤 랑동 쓰주대 가장 얘기 슈 사버래 본바 신이기 아니 본배 그런 어떤 버지라 네 랑동 신이라고 요래 또 도나 추탐시 다시 들으라라 고셔나 랑동 차로 요래
추탐시
다시 뚜바던 자와 기간라 고와지 렌서나 추탐지 랑동 경은 고와렌도 그래 다시 뚜바던 달와
뚜들 So phenomena are empty in and of themselves. So the vase, for instance, does not truly exist as a vase. It is empty of itself. It is empty by itself. And so in this way, all phenomena are all phenomena are free from the four extremes, and thus they are free from any elaboration, any mental construct. In general, did you understand? Or most of it? Because in the first day you looked like you understood. But now we're talking about emptiness, but most of you do not have much expression. It doesn't look like something particular. That's also why I didn't talk about emptiness actually on the first day.
근데 대가란 차선에 배 자선 거라. 선임은 시행하게 되는 데랑 차드나.
Because if you look like this for 4 or 5 days, then it's a bit worrying.
It would be better we put a bed in here, so I speak, you sleep. Did it, right? Rangtong and Shentong 계좌티 so 토미 군지기 숑 다다 잠주댕아 종라 아니 셴동기 가서래 송단테 드니 조 연구열에.
So to return to the distinction between Rongtong and Shentong, actually the expression of Shentong has appeared in Tibet mainly in relation to the teaching that are in the 5 treatises of Maitreya.
Pena ume ka barbarang la komba sheshane ra ka barbarang ki shungo la samotane so sheshen ki sonda sumanche la sheshane aran so ume ki tawachi tsena rangdong la kuju shiu yore.
If one relies or if one tries to explain like the Madhyamaka does, the teaching of the second wheel of the Dharma, that is to say, the cycle of teaching about the prajna paramita, then this is the viewpoint of the middle, the Madhyamaka, and it's actually what has been called Rangtong.
Teni ka thama tsupenanda vesal giritan sogi kola chingime kasan number 7 chungul dela zo sheshane zo dela sheshane ani umata dege tola zo dinana nek shendong ki tawa dela kuchuni jore.
So there is a difference of terminology of words used between the second turning of the wheel and the third turning of the wheel. So in the second turning, the Prajnaparamita Sutras, then the main word is the absence of characteristic. In the third turning of the word, the terminology used is often about luminosity or clarity. And so the understanding that is conveyed by this terminology is a little bit different, and this Shentong view developed on the basis of the terminology and the teaching that I explained in the third wheel of Dharma.
And Shentong ke taru to chisu jongbare lana matu bagi yomare. Tama.
Kare songso?
Jela jongba.
Jela jongba. Oh, and so actually this viewpoint of Shentong, it's a viewpoint that arrived or that arose quite late in history. Madriba?
It's okay to say like that.
Yeah, okay.
Tende nganaso Shentong ki tatawa te Shentong ki ta khasore ki shungmang cha chikte da ju lama uda namge chunyi namge tensu ki shung ki longmangbu thangire tende Quran so ki lotar to chena ani luru yawse ki songshabe ki ume ki tede uma chungaje thome la so pone chonde wote uma chimbo sin shegire.
So actually, the meaning of that is explained in the Shentong school of thought is also based on many texts. It's just not the same text that they are not based on the main text by Nagarjuna and his disciples, such as Aryadeva, etc., but they are mostly based on other texts, such as, for instance, the Gyulama, the Uttara Tantra Shastra, and the other treatises by Maitreya and Asanga.
양 신동기 따르기 나라 신동기 따르 낭이 망부 요래 변나라 아니 가시 신동기 남샤 시다야 또 저기 말이.
So there are actually many kinds of Shentong, many ways to hold the view of the Shentong. And so according to some of this presentation are actually not correct. Or no, what did you say?
shepa mangbu yore.
Shepa mangbu, sorry, not correct. They didn't say that. So there are different ways of presenting the Shentong viewpoint.
dire. 당하나 조까주도 차춘 바이나 대 신동 랑동 난게 요래 신동 난게 요래.
So, for instance, in the Kagyu school of thought, there are various masters, and some masters hold a viewpoint that goes more towards Rangtong, and some that goes more towards Shentong.
Shentong 요래. 디 가전 예망 얘기 당분에 쉬어 봐인 봐. 가주 님마 사겨 생에 때 도친이 되게 좀 더 말했어. 상하게 주주지를
So, but like we said in the first day, the various lineages such as Kagyu, Sakya, Nyingma, etc., they are not actually schools of thought or various explanation or tradition of the sutra. They are lineage of transmission of the Vajrayana of various tantras. So they are tantric lineages.
대인들 양 간쇼레 또 되게 발라야 이제 삼노 당 마셔봐 줘나데 된데레스 드니 제가 알아서 다다 군신 고람바 요라 고람바 소남생이 되게 가르친 거라서나 다다 가서냐만 얘기 지를 땅에서요라 디 벽에 나라 벽에 나라 탄 우메게 따와 게 맹코네 안에 내술라 다시 그래 우마기 따도 안에 다대 숨스 난 것도스 제대 딱탈로 우마마 답에 딱탈소 송이 답탈로 우마마 제대 체달로 우마마 제대 원인 우마마
Mooni.
지순바데 가요. 타달로 마마스. 타달로 마마스. 숨이 용거요레스.
Tajal. So, to sum up, this viewpoint about Rongtong and Shentong, there is one master of the Sakya lineage that lived in the 16th century, who is called Gorampa, and this master Gorampa explained that Gorampa Sonam Sengye explained that there were in Tibet 3 main ways to understand the view of the Madhyamaka, to establish what the view of the Madhyamaka is. And he says there is one view that goes towards the extreme of eternalism, there is one view that goes towards the extreme of nihilism, and there is one view that is free from all extremes. That is free from that is free from extremes.
당보 따달로 마마와게 수송고에서나 도보받은 소리. 되니 체달로 마마와뱅에 정가받은 수송고래. 아니 타달로 마마와서야 돼. 따사기야 당한도 까지도 안 무슨 거래.
So Gorampa Sonam Sengye says that the view that goes towards eternalism is the view that was developed by a master who was called Dolpopa and is a form of Shentong, and the view that goes towards nihilism is the view that was developed by Tsongkhapa, and the view that is free from any extreme, or the view of the Madhyamaka that is free from any extreme, is the understanding as it is expounded, for instance, in the Kagyu, Sakya, or other schools of thought, or other lineages. So some of the masters, of the important masters of the Kagyu school, so like the first three important ones, Marpa, Milarepa, and Gampopa, actually hold a view that can be called Rangtong.
Shentong natang de tes tragi mariro. Ngana kaju de tangbo Shentong shaging la Rangtong ki tawa de manja kelen de.
And actually, the way that the Shentong view is maintained in the Kagyu school of thought is not like it is, for instance, maintained by Dolpopa. When in the Kagyu school of thought, the Shentong view is established, it is solidly based on an understanding of emptiness as it is explained in the so-called Rangtong view.
Rangtong ki tawa shisha ki thola din Shentong ki ma kaso ke jorwa.
So the Rangtong view is part of the Shentong understanding. It's the basis. It's on the basis of the understanding of the emptiness of phenomena that then the Shentong view can be developed, can be arrived at.
The Shentong ke ngaran su umya te Shentong la ja goya ta de karasina. Shentong ke na la takka kolosum chazan ji de ba ro yore. Tene di nyam su len ba yinaro. Ya pendo yore di Shentong ke ta du te ta ngaran su ki nyam len de chajin ke nyam le de pe ta ore.
So actually, why is this Shentong view important? It's really a view that has been developed to be put into practice. It's very strongly or closely related to the practice of meditation, and in particular to the meditation of Mahamudra. And actually, all the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma are included within that view. So actually, the way to establish the view in the Shentong school is quite specific.
Like very special. In a that's all Rangtong get out the Yabuko, Shembachin, they got taller, and Shindong Tower and so they so Shindong get down and so Tanya and so they can't be.
So actually, it's very important to first have a really good understanding of emptiness as it is expounded in the so-called Rangtong school or Madhyamaka school, and then one can also develop an understanding as it is presented in the Shentong view. Tanya kikor karesong.
Tanya, I demo Shentong round they dos ya Rangtong ke tunda de yabuko tsubai na tene Tanya ke namsha shatan de haku res like. Tanya ke namsha penada vessel ro da tomaje se Tanya yungro tenzo ke namsha te. Shentong ke nala tenzo mangu sungre. Yongdup ke kor tenzo.
So, and actually, it's important to understand the terminology of the Shentong. For instance, the expression about, when the Shentong talks about the luminous mind, or incompounded phenomena, or perfectly established. So, such terminology that one finds in the Shentong, it must be based understanding of the Rongtong, of emptiness. So there are conventions, words that are used in the Shentong that to be truly understood, not to be misunderstood, they must include an understanding also of emptiness as it is presented in the Rongtong.
라서 드네 주dom들다 굿 시 되니 손주 남촌에서 저군이 손주스러 세워라 다 데이터기 탑닌지 전부터 시라 동반이 손도 줘봐이나 되게 갈래 소소기 냠샤던 제도기 냠내나 때네 네 저다 구숨스나다도 군이 랑돈도 주고 신돈도 쓰고 된대 좀 그래.
So, to sum up, if one practices the path, which is the union of methods and insight, of compassion and emptiness, then one will reach the fruit, Buddha, the enlightened state, that is the union of the two kayas. The two kayas is the Dharmakaya, which is the accomplishment of Buddha, the enlightened state itself, and the form kayas, which are the manifestation of Buddhahood for the benefit of others. And this has two forms, the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya. So on the basis of the union of methods and insight is attained the union of the two kaya, the kaya for oneself, Dharmakaya, and the kaya for others, the form kayas.
That's what that terrain the children get someday that
So this will conclude this session of teachings. There are a few questions that have been received and that are somewhere. Si, c'est ça. All of them? Oh. So one question is, can you tell us something about your 3-year retreat? No, this is secret. Second question. Dear Rinpoche, if one realizes emptiness, does it happen gradually or is it a sudden experience? If not, gradual or sudden. So does it stay? Or if not, will it come more after experiencing it for the first time? Tongpanidi, gradual or sudden? Rimba yongidu lenjik yongidu.
아주 고쳤어.
Tene nyam yona tene yankyarjela yongidu degidu on cheer.
동반이 컨디션 연구에서나로 the gradually and suddenly 돌이다. 디 타치도 된데 연구에서 계속 요 말에. 디 시그네 소소게 냠len 제단도 지 니베데 소소나마기 돈이게 모두 다 하더라. 라레 되게요. 라마게 돈이 모두 다 라레 되게요.
So actually, one cannot say exactly. It depends on one's practice and the way that one is introduced to emptiness by one's guru. What is prayer? Should we pray for other beings when we hear that they are sick and suffering? How do you do this? Prayer?
menam sete ta praise in the menam roa ki choga seyo
Choka?
choga lago yamara
Ngazo prayer sana de soldep jabu.
sonde na ta sonde yakshi de tegwa chimbu tsi sembe ki thone sinji shendwe ki samba rang ki thone shenla chi menam jabsha baina roa ti menam chagi yore
Well, actually, that depends on what one understands by prayer. In Tibetan, the term that will be used for that is Mönlam, which one will more translate as aspiration or a path of aspiration or aspiration prayer. So this aspiration is it's a path of wanting to or aspiring to accomplish the benefit of oneself and others. So it's based on compassion, and it's the wish to accomplish the benefit of others.
Should we pray for other beings? Of course, why not? And what is prayer, Latwa?
Yeah.
Prayer de membera, melam chichapshara, melam sena, menro.
Yeah. So Mönlam, or the path of aspiration, it's to aspire, to pray or to aspire to something.
Chila chawa sho se pat mungyo.
Yeah, so may you be in peace, for instance, is to aspire that someone is in peace. The mind is aspiring to that.
Wish, it's kind of wish.
A kind of wish.
Yeah.
Is it a proper way of understanding that vegetarian diet is recommended for Buddhist practitioner?
제가 틱바 오마데르게 제가 샤스 계절하다. 산제 계절다 남순 다비샤스 해지 순주 송하라. 남순 다비샤스.
남순
다비샤스.
sana? 가르지?
다 가소래. 제가 다 드네라쇼라. 틱바 침바든 소리 망제 샤스하기 말이에요.
자기메?
샤스하기 말이에요. They try to avoid meat. 틱바 침 가야스나 닝지 주만 많이 봐. 냠레 차대요.
Well, it's a little bit complicated topic. There are various ways to understand, but in general, in the Mahayana, as we try not to harm other beings, then one will not eat meat. Okay. What is the meaning of putting hands together while one is doing Chenrezig practice or Hemao? When we do that, why is this?
Is vegetarian diet is recommended for Buddhist practitioner?
Oh.
Actually, I would say that if you are seeking, you want to eat meat, then yeah. There is one time Buddha have, kind of in the lower vehicle teaching, he have mentioned that if a person is very sick, that, he have to rely on the meat. So for like that kind of person, they have like a certain allowance, acceptance. Other than that, mostly, since the Buddhist teaching is more about harmless teaching, so I prefer those, if they can able to be diet, can be vegetarian, is best. But try not to force, but be naturally. It should become naturally, genuinely, not by force. But try to avoid killing. This is the most important. Whether eating vegetarian is not about being, it's more about not harming others. So since if you can, actually act, avoiding killing, make others to stop killing, and that is the best thing, more than being vegetarian. So I prefer, like, if you can, I normally ask my disciples, please do life releasing from a slaughterhouse, and that is the best vegetarian thing. And Tini, about this palm, right? Yeah. What does this say?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah. Is it like
this is a form of respect. in some tradition they do like this, and I'm not sure, in some, I think in Western they do like this, right? Put on your hand and the heart, pay of respect. And each culture have their own tradition, yeah? So in Buddhist, we have the tradition, not only Buddhist, but in general India, we have where the mudra of respect is this respect. And yeah, in a one way, this call it as chatsewa.
Homage.
Homage.
In Jamgon Kongtrul Rinpoche, Treasury of Knowledge, it is written, do not think that phenomena are permanent, do not think that they are impermanent. Permanence is one extreme, and impermanence is a second extreme. But that statement seems to contradict the second thought that turns the mind towards Dharma, that is the contemplation on impermanence. So why is that? Takpa chik de ta chikre, mi takpa de ta chikre, tene ta takpa tang mi takpa nika tare. De shijadzu nangla de shigidu. Shijadzu nangla. Takta tang mi takpa tang takpa nika tare. Well, actually, this is exactly what we said before, that the two are relating on each other. Permanence and impermanence are both concepts that are relying on each other. And it's the same actually with emptiness and not emptiness. These are two concepts that are relating to each other. So emptiness is not the contrary of something. So all of that, things are empty, they are not empty, they are both empty and not empty, they are neither empty nor not empty. All of that, it's mental fabrication, mental elaboration that we have about phenomena, about things, etc. And what the Madhyamaka shows is that all this conceptual elaboration actually do not hold. There are only conceptual elaboration, mental elaboration. They are not what ultimate reality is really about. How do realized beings understand the nature of mind? How do realized beings who understand the nature of mind perceive the worlds and sentient beings? Perceive. Then? So Rinpoche says, well, I don't know, I'm an ordinary human being, and among them I'm actually the worst of human beings, so I don't know, I could not describe how they perceive. But what is explained in the text is that actually Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they directly realize, they have realized that all phenomena do not have a true nature, are not established as truly existent, but they see that despite this fact, all sentient beings are actually suffering. Even though they do not exist, sentient beings are suffering. And so, out of compassion for all these beings who are suffering for no actual reason, then they manifest for their benefit in order to help them. So the motivation of compassion, out of the motivation of compassion, they manifest for the benefit of sentient beings, even though they have understood or they have realized that all phenomena are devoid of a true nature.
Lasso tene della trovaci ni sumshi na tutamadu. Tene da dale tsu tsu mancha simne ya. Tshara ngati tati konda shui.
So there are 6 more questions that have arrived, but because the time now has come, we must stop this lecture. So sorry about this, but it will not be able to answer them.
네, 다 송행 미카시 여러 전소를 지원단하고 건조나 지원단하고
When?
송행 미카시 여러
Yeah.
전소를 지원단
Now? No. Tiwatong, where? Tong?
There will be some lecture upcoming, so you can ask them. So it's been so today we completed all the course, and although the topic is not closed, but my mouth is closed, and I'm very happy about it. That I don't have to see all of you. Just kidding. But yes, it's been 5 days, I think, and 5-day story, 5-day memory, and anyway, we come to a conclusion of departing, and I wish you all a very safe journey to your own destination. And first thing, it is very precious that this course is not only about receiving teaching, but it's more about having a link towards a realized master, not me, but with His Holiness, His Holiness, and also a link to with the Dharma. And there are many countless of people that they don't have this opportunity. So all of you, whether you have understood it well or not, I don't care. I did my job. Actually, I'm a very strange man. I don't like to accept my disciple easily. I don't accept disciple easily. When people, sometimes people follows me for like 3 years, 4 years, and I don't know if they are my disciple. And they are talking that I'm their Lama. And I'm shocking. So when I have a disciple, I be a strict teacher, strict in a discipline. Sometimes scolding, sometimes like loving, mostly strict. And like those people are willing, then I accept as my disciple, other than just hi, bye, like in any way. It's very fortunate that you all have a link with His Holiness, and this moment will not come again and again. And so try to make it this try to treasure it. And of course, we had some kind of connection through Rongtong, Shentong, and Sema, and of course with the middle way path and its action as a Shantideva's practice. So it is very fortunate that it is how it is, and we have to know that just being in that presence doesn't help. So and I wish you all a very long life, good health, and if we have karma, we will meet again even though we don't want to. If we don't have karma, even though we want to, we will not meet. So, wishing you all the best. Kongtrul Rinpoche sumla chaza la gyewan diye nyawar tsuk. Simje namje du sum sabaye saje same sunchon gyewan na lame chanchu chenpong. Chukwe tamje kyenpar tobar sho chunyi chanchu simje chenko to tasu simje tam. Du sum sadang dobaye ruru simje malye pa kunga yongso sanje sho sanje kusong nipe chenla ta chunyi minchuru tenpe. Kende me she tenpe chenla je drang melum jo bara sho so nam diye tam che se. Tobne nye be dana tam je ne jega na chen balo se be so le ndo